Okay, now what we're going to do is discuss a few breeding techniques. I'm not going to get into huge detail about it, but just to give you two basic techniques from which you can figure out your own way to breed. But there's two basic techniques to use, and I'm going to go, as you can see, I'm trying to hold off Pretty Boy, and I'm going to show you one, which is simply to back the bitch in, and the proper way to do that. Way to back in a bitch is to hold her collar and to present the hindquarters to the male. You do like this, you hold her head between your legs. That allows you to present the bitch and to push the male inside. You can hold him up if you got to, you can give him a boost if he needs it, or you can just let him have at it and go in. But this is the proper way. She cannot bite him, and that is one way to do it. Now I'm going to show you another. Okay, another way to do this is to come in from the side. Okay, you hold the bitch by the collar here, you put your knee under here. If you need to raise her up, you can do it. If you need to lower, you can do it. You got to get the chain out of the way. Okay? Now if she's docile, you can let her go. But if not, you can guide him in like this. Again, if the male needs a boost, you can give it to him. You need to put your foot here to give him a boost. Whatever you need to do to get the breeding done. Of course, again, it helps to have a docile bitch. The basic technique is to keep her level with your knee. You can hold her like this, and then you can guide the male in if you need to do it. If you need to give him a boost, you can do it like this and here. Okay, you just put your foot here to give him the boost. You hold him up here if he needs it. He don't really need it. He's about the right level, but suppose he does need it. Okay, you give him a boost. Now he's a little higher. But this is a technique by yourself. You can do it. Obviously, he wants to get in. I haven't made him hit the target yet, so we can keep talking. But if the bitch isn't docile like Tuffy is, you can put an Elizabethan collar on her, tape her mouth shut, whatever you got to do. But these are basically the two basic breeding techniques. Is one, you got your leg. If you're right-handed, you want your right hand free. If I was left-handed, I'd be on the other side doing this. But key is to hold her like this. If she was going apeshit, I got a hold of her. If he needs a boost, I put my foot here and give him the boost. Hold his other leg if I got to. But these are techniques you can use by yourself. And then I haven't done it yet, but you just guide the male in. Now, if he's having a trouble falling out, you can also encircle the bitch's vulva and make it tighter. We guys all know that it's nicer to be tighter, so you can just hold her tight. He'd get in there, and you can feel whether he's tied up or not, whether you need to dismount him. So that's it, man. I mean, that's really the two basic breeding techniques you need to know. One is to back the bitch in, where you can control her back in. You can guide him in like this. You can hold him in if you got to. Give him a boost if you got to. And if you have an unruly bitch, you can put one of them collars on her, tape her mouth shut. But my dogs are trained dogs, so I don't need to do all that stupid shit. But that's it. That's all there is really to breeding dogs, is those two techniques that you can develop whatever idea you have to that is necessary to get the job done, and without using the breeding stand. And I've bred the meanest bitches you could possibly imagine like that, with the aid of just an Elizabethan collar and some tape on the bitch's mouth. You have a lot more control, and the male gets a lot more natural penetration that way. So that is basically a conclusion of the two breeding techniques you need. Let me recap something before we go ahead and split from this little section on natural breeding. One thing you do not want to do with a bitch when you breed her natural is bring her in face first. Obviously, these bulldogs can be aggressive. You always bring them in rear first. If you review the tape, how I brought the bitch in, it's at the end of the male's chain at first to let him barely get a sniff, see if he's going to do something, but not so close that he's got her if he wants to get her.
It's close enough, it's far enough away so that you can pull her back. If he is aggressive, if it's clear he intends to breed, then you bring her in another step forward to give the male room to work. So make sure you bring the bitch in back end first. Only do it to the very end of the chain to make sure of the male's intention. When it's clear he's going to breed, bring her in all the way. And then finally, from whether you're at the side position or have the bitch's head between your legs, when you guide the male in and you're keeping your hand there, making sure he stays in, kind of encircling the vulval area of the bitch. If you feel him ball up outside of her, throw him back, just push him right off. It's a complete waste of time to proceed with the breeding if the male is balled up outside of the bitch. Absolute waste of time. If you feel that happening, throw him back. If you have to do it 100 times, push him back, push him off until he gets it in her and you can feel him ball up inside her, because yeah, it's possible theoretically that you'll get pups on a male who balls outside of the bitch, but believe me, I've bred a ton of dogs, and the general rule is if you don't get a tie, you don't get pups. So if you feel the male's penis balling up on the outside of the bitch and not up in her, balled up, you're wasting your time. Push him back, let him start over. When you push him back, he'll go down a little bit and try again. So those are just two final comments I wanted to make before we wrap up the video. Again, you can save yourself all of this hassle by doing the artificial insemination, which is the true thrust of this video anyway, of bringing a bitch, backing her up, rolling around in the dirt with her. Just bring a collection tube, collect the male, store it up real nice, and either send it to your customer, or if you have a bitch right there on site, just bring the semen to her. No big deal. You and your buddies can sit there and watch TV, inseminate the bitch, and that's it. It's a lot cleaner, it's a lot safer. There's not any potential for disease transmission. So with artificial insemination, you can omit the natural breeding floundering that can sometimes happen. But if you happen to have a customer who demands natural breeding, or if you yourself just want to take a photo of the tie, I hope those breeding techniques have shown you the basic 2 ways to get that done as quickly as possible. And if you got a really unruly bitch, like I said, just tape her mouth shut, put an Elizabethan collar on her, and those techniques will work just fine. Okay, so we'll wrap up the video now.